On episode 2 of GC Exclusives, I sat down with the head coach of South Carolina Volleyball, Tom Mendoza, to discuss his team, their top 25 national ranking in the 2021 season for the Gamecocks. We are now joined on Gamecock Central by Tom Mendoza. He is the head women's volleyball coach at the University of South Carolina. And Coach, first of all, thank you so much for joining us today. But secondly, you just had a pretty big weekend for women's volleyball. So how are you holding up right now?
Excited with where we're at. Obviously, the first exciting thing is just being able to bring such good volleyball to the Carolina Volleyball Center and for our fans to get to see. We have a record number of season ticket holders this year and VIP season tickets. So just to bring top 25 volleyball to them, I feel like we're holding up our end of the deal. And then to get 2 wins is huge. And get 2 resume wins early in the season and get to measure where our team is and what we need to work on is exactly what we were looking for. So we're feeling pretty good. Again, not everything was perfect, but enough good stuff to build on.
So you were hired in 2018, and just last year you became the fastest Gamecock volleyball coach to reach 50 wins ahead of the 2 winningest coaches in Gamecock history, Kim Williams and Bonnie Kinney. So what key factors led to your quick success with women's volleyball at South Carolina?
A lot of really good players, and a lot of really good teams. So, that's one of the exciting things about getting to coach at this level is you get to work with elite athletes and players who are incredibly driven and want to be the best versions of themselves possible, but also want the team to be successful. So we've got, a combination of players from all over the country and all over the world, but we also have players who are from South Carolina or from this region, and wearing the Gamecock uniform means a great deal to them. And getting this program to be successful, top 25 and top group of the SEC, that means a lot to them. And we're not settled with where we're at right now, but we're certainly excited about where we're at. So, but yeah, you just look through the four seasons, this being the start of the 4th, the players that have, gone through in those 4 years and the good teams we've had, good teams have good players and good coaches get to work with them. So very, very thankful to have been in that position.
And you came in hot right off the bat at the start of your time at USC in 2018. You took the team to its first NCAA tournament, and you had an 8-win improvement from 2017. Now, the first NCAA tournament in 16 years, I might add. Now, some people might say that a coach's first year is like for rebuilding or maybe just coming in and taking things slow, but you didn't do that. So talk a little bit about just coming in and skipping that rebuilding process almost entirely.
Yeah, Coach Tanner was giving me a hard time that we probably set the bar a little too high in that first year. But thankfully, we've been able to keep it there. So, it was just when I watched film, when I was able to get the job, when Coach Tanner gave me the opportunity, we watched film and we watched players like Michaela Robinson, and said, man, she can be successful, and we can help get her a little bit better. And same thing with Michaela Shields, Courtney Kaler, that whole group, just talent, but we need to learn the brand of volleyball and the commitment level that it takes. We're trying to play in the SEC. We're trying to advance in the NCAA tournament. That means you're going to pass up some really good teams and really good programs and some smart coaches. So if you're not doing everything at an elite level, you just don't have a chance. And so that's what we started going piece by piece of what's holding us back. Let's figure those things out. Let's be honest about them. Let's improve them, and then let's put ourselves in a position to be successful. So it's real kind of simple game plan, but something that we thought would work against, regardless of the team we were playing on the other side. So, they bought in. Players like I mentioned, Michaela Robinson and Michaela Shields, who are very talented, very successful, all SEC, all American quality players. And they were committed to South Carolina. There were certainly, with the coaching changes, there were certainly opportunities for them to jump ship. Transfer has become such a huge part of college athletics. And those players with not just one coaching change, but there were actually 2, because there was an interim coach that year before as well. And they decided to stay committed to South Carolina, and I think they were paid off for that work and that commitment. So incredibly happy for them to leave the program in a place that was better than when they got here.
So you came from High Point, which, by the way, go Big South. My brother played baseball at Winthrop, so strong ties to the Big South Conference. But for you, what were those big differences going from a mid-major type of school to a Power 5 SEC program?
Yeah, I had some really good teams those 2 years. Similar situation, went into a program where, it wasn't a huge rebuild, just trying to go from being second or third place in the Big South to winning the regular season and the conference championship. Big South has a conference championship, unlike the SEC. Just fine tuning some things, pretty similar situation. So, but that transition coming from the Big South, it's just it's a different beast, and the managing. The level of support that we have at South Carolina is a great benefit, but it's also something that just takes more management. So instead of me doing all of the marketing, it's communicating with our marketing, not just person, but our marketing staff. And same thing with, you go from our communications and, how much Joe does that's great, and athletic training and strength conditioning. So all of those resources are phenomenal, but just managing them all is has become more of my job than actually doing those things. And so, but that means that the amount that we're able to provide for our student athletes is tremendous. And I think that's where you start to see the dividends, especially as the season goes on. So, and then just, we had some great volleyball players in those teams at High Point. But you look at the numbers and what our athletes are jump touching here, they can recover a little bit faster, those types of things. So they want to be pushed harder. They want to be just the success at a national level, and the drive is just slightly ramped up. And so how do you handle those players that want to be pushed a little past their comfort zone without breaking? That's a little bit different of a skill set that we've been trying to work through, and how do we get them to achieve the maximum amount without losing the values that we have as a program. So I think the transition's gone well. I think with each year it certainly gets a little bit more comfortable, and I don't think we would have been able to start those 3 matches against those 3 teams in year 1. I think that took 3 or 4 years of program building before we were ready to open up with a schedule like we did this year.
You talk about getting your team to a great national level. Last season was highlighted by the team's first national ranking since 2002. So when you first saw that ranking, what was your initial reaction?
I try not to pay too much attention to rankings, even though I have to, because I'm one of the poll voters this year. So I have to follow it a little bit more closely this year, just because I want to make sure I'm putting enough, respect towards my submission as possible. But there's been years where I've been fairly certain we've had one of the top 25 teams in the country, and we're not receiving any votes. And it can be the opposite as well. There's times where we've had teams in the rankings, and you just know that you haven't been pushed yet. And so those things can fluctuate. Same thing I think with recruiting rankings. Sometimes our classes get ranked high, and then we've had all SEC freshmen the last couple of years who haven't received the national attention that some recruits have. So it's certainly a nice compliment, at least says we're on the right track. But sometimes those rankings can get a little funky, and we're trying to stay focused on what we can control, which is finding things that are better. So last year, and then in those rankings, it was just the teams that were competing in the fall. This year, now it's all of the NCAA. So we'd had some good wins last year. I think we had beaten Florida in the fall that kind of catapulted us up into those, and then we had a couple good wins in the spring. But this year to get that early is nice, because I think we're set up to be in a good position moving forward right now.
So you talk about last year playing in the fall, playing in the spring. You had an all-SEC schedule for every single sport across the board. It was just downright bizarre because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So do you feel like playing until March of last year maybe affected the off-season prep a little bit? And is that trickling into this season at all? Or was it actually a benefit for you all getting to play those games later in the season?
Yeah. I think the best two things we could say about last year are that we were able to do it and that it's over. So last year was, the last 2 years have been tough for everybody. So I'm not going to say that, just playing volleyball is, measures up to some of the things that people have faced over the last 2 years. So, but yeah, it wasn't great, and dealing with players going into, COVID protocols, the contact tracing, and having to do all of that, where they had to go into isolation for a week or two. I think that was the hardest part for us as these players that we really want to make sure, we're taken care of, having to go through those protocols and being isolated. And it was tough for them. But yeah, we're through it. And I think last spring, by the end of it, I think our players were pretty much on empty. Thankfully, they got a full summer to kind of recoup and enjoy playing volleyball again. Certainly having the fans back this year, I think, was a nice, not just a boost, because that's what we want. We want to, play in front of our home fans and put a good show on for them. But I think it was also a nice sign that last year is over. Playing in an empty gym, that we have something new to look forward to. And that's the work that they've been putting on over the last year and a half is towards something. So, we're through it. Hopefully we're a stronger, more cohesive group for having gone through that together. But we're certainly excited. Hopefully things keep moving in a good direction medically, and we can move on and have back to somewhat normal year.
And you've already started off this season on a pretty darn good foot. This past weekend, like you mentioned a little bit earlier, playing 3 really, really strong opponents. You took down Rice and Washington State, 2 ranked opponents. Some teams start with cupcakes at the beginning of a season, but Carolina women's volleyball didn't start with cupcakes this year. So what was it like to play teams of that caliber so early on in the season?
Well, we try to put our team in a situation to be successful. Setting a schedule is probably one of the most important things you can do, because you want to give your team a path to be prepared, especially for how tough the SEC is. But you also want to give them a path for national success, which for us is the NCAA tournament, and putting ourselves in a situation to advance in the NCAA tournament. So, when we looked at how good we thought our group could be, the goal didn't just become get an NCAA bid, although we want to do that for sure, and we've got a long way to go. But we wanted to give ourselves a path to advance, and that means possibly earning a top 16 seed, so that we're able to host the first weekend and play in front of South Carolina fans, and get a slightly better draw than you would if you're not hosting. So again, are we going to do that? Maybe. We have a lot of work to do, but I wanted to give our team a path to that success and to that possibility. So that means playing good teams and risking taking losses. Even if you play, we could have lost against Washington State. We could have lost against Rice, even though we played well, just because, anytime you're playing a top level team, that's a possibility. So thankfully it wasn't much for our group, and we were able to get 2 of those wins. And I think we need to learn from Pitt, because Pitt, I think, played their best of their 3 matches against us, and we weren't able to raise our level to match that. So that's a good lesson for us as well. To come out 1-2 probably would have been in a decent spot set up for the season. So to get 2 wins is huge for us. But if we go and we don't take advantage of it, it doesn't really mean much. UCF is a really, really good team, who's had success in conference and nationally. Clemson gets better every year, and that's always a match with a lot of emotion surrounding it. So if we don't take care of business this weekend and keep trending upwards, not just stay level, then we're not going to take advantage of the situation we put ourselves in after week 1. So as nice as week 1 was, we're past it. We're ready for UCF and Clemson. Not
to harp on week 1 any longer, but Dawn Staley announcing your opening lineups. I mean, first of all, I'm quite jealous. I would love for Dawn Staley to announce my name on a loudspeaker. But secondly, just how cool was that to have her there?
Yeah, she's awesome. I mean, for the amount that she's done for South Carolina athletics, the university and the basketball program, She's a legend there, but then you add on top of it, the Olympics and national team stuff that she's done. She's certainly a great, spokesperson for our athletic department, and to get her there was phenomenal. We owe our marketing person, Mo, a shout out for making that happen. It certainly added to the already great energy, that we had over the weekend. But we had support. Coach Martin was there as well. His daughter's a big volleyball fan, but he's there as support, and Coach Beamer was giving us some shout outs as well. So I feel like we're at a point where our athletic department is to be successful in the SEC, your athletic department has to be on the same page. And I think this is just my 4th year, so I don't have a huge track record of what the feeling's been like. But over my 4 years, I can sense the difference, that this is the most that our athletic department is all on board. What can we do to help each other out and make South Carolina athletics as good as possible, because it's just so tough to be successful at this level. If we're not all on the same page, we're not going to be able to get there. So anything we can do for them, we'd be happy to do, but it's certainly great to get that support heading this way as well.
I'm loving all of the Twitter shout outs from all of the head coaches all over social media. It's like one big happy family out there.
The support, I'm happy to do the support. Just getting on Twitter is the hard part for me. If I'm not giving any of those, it's just because I'm not on Twitter very much. But anytime I am on Twitter or someone tells me to tweet something, I'm happy to do it. So social media, Joe will tell you, social media is not my most natural place. But yeah, having that support is huge. I got to do that tour before the season started with some of the head coaches and just getting to know each other and talking through recruiting and talking through how to make our programs better. It's a really nice group that it's helping each other out. And I can't think of a better time to be a Gamecock.
We've got to get you on the Shane Beamer level of Twitter. I feel like he's got Twitter figured out, like 100%.
Yeah, Coach Beamer's on a game. He's pretty good with all that stuff. So maybe he'll have to give me some lessons. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure that's one of my goals, but if it was, then that's probably who I'd go to.
Maybe like a side hustle. But I want to talk about Michaela Robinson, because you mentioned her a little bit earlier. I mean, she's just been fantastic, and I'm pretty sure if I went through all of her accomplishments, it would take a good 30 minutes, like the whole interview time would be over. She's just been fantastic for your program. So talk about having her as a leader on your team and what she's done for the volleyball program at Carolina.
Well, Michaela, I don't know if I've not just at South Carolina, but my 15 plus years of coaching, I don't know if I've ever seen the amount of growth of a person over their time in college than Michaela Robinson. And not that she was bad when she started, but she was more of a quiet, I'll do my job really well, but I'm not really looking to be the vocal leader. And now she's kind of, when you play like she does, people naturally look to you as a leader. And I think it took her a little bit of time to just embrace that role and to be someone that's not just able to perform at that level, but providing all those things that leaders don't necessarily want to deal with. Some of the times when players are unhappy, they'll go to her, and for her to kind of learn how to manage those, keep everyone on the same page, keep everyone channeled in the right direction. Those types of things, man, I don't know if she's gotten good at them, and she's got a really good natural ability to understand people and to kind of befriend them. So if a player like that is one of your leaders, I think that's a huge advantage for a group. And then her play, she's been All-SEC 3 times. She wants to break that, get over that hump and get to that All-American level. She certainly has put in performances, but the consistency, I think, is the part when you're trying to break that hump, get over that hump and beat out those All-Americans, it's a small margin for error. And so the level of consistency that she's shown already this season, I think she's putting in those performances. So it's a little bit of two sides. One is her volleyball, which just continues to get better. But then the amount of leadership that she provides to the team is incredibly important. And if this group wants to achieve the things that we say we want to achieve, she's going to be at the forefront of that. And I think she's put herself in a position where she can handle that. Physically, she's taken strength and conditioning a lot more seriously as she's gotten older, even reaching out to our strength and conditioning coaches or our coaches asking for more workouts during the summer, which is something that 3 or 4 years ago would have never happened. So then just on the court too, there was a time against Pitt where she just a little bit out of rhythm with our setters, and you could see this frustration started to build after she'd played 2 really good matches before then, and she worked through it. And so by the end of the Pitt match, they were back in rhythm, and she was tearing it up. And we said, a year or 2 ago, she probably just wouldn't have made those adjustments, and now to make those adjustments against a really good team, and to the point where she put us in a situation to almost come back and win that 3rd set. That's the type of growth we need. And she's a great leader for her positions and for the whole team. So incredibly excited for her. I'm glad she got the 5th year, her, Kyla, Mallory. I think these are the type of people that COVID exception was put in place for. And I'm glad they're taking advantage of it.
So you mentioned a little bit earlier playing that team from the upstate this weekend. I'm really not supposed to say their name on Gamecock Central, so I'll be like, our rival, the team from the upstate, the team who shall not be named. And that's in the Palmetto Showdown this Friday, 1:00 p.m. You're also taking on UCF this weekend as well, as mentioned earlier. But a lot of people viewing this weekend as the season opener for Carolina football, taking on Eastern Illinois. But why do people need to come to the Carolina Volleyball Center and watch your team take on these other 2 teams that we won't mention their names?
Well, Central Florida has been the top, I think they probably should be in the top 25, but they're kind of borderline top 25, top 30 team, have been really good. Return an All-American in Melville. They're a really good team. We're going to play them twice. And just the way that the tournament worked out, and we were able to get them twice on the schedule, and it'll help our RPI. And then, like you mentioned, the other team, they're not really our rival in volleyball. Not that they don't deserve to be. It's just more of our focus is on the SEC and getting ready. I think it's we're certainly excited to play any team, and both of those are very good teams that we need to be ready for. I think having the football game for Saturday is huge. We're certainly excited to go. I'm glad the schedule works out where we play Thursday, Friday, and we're going to get a chance to take part in some of the football stuff. But for anyone that's coming in town early, there's going to be more really good volleyball at the Carolina Volleyball Center. That was one of our goals, whether it was last week with the 3 teams we were able to bring in or the 2 teams we're bringing in this week. You're going to come to a match and you're going to see really good volleyball, and you're going to see really good athletes. You're going to see All-Americans competing at the highest level. And we're trying to, not just that, but we're trying to recruit players who are going to help us get there. And if they're coming and go to those matches, we want to make sure that they know that the level of support that they're going to have when they come and play here. So all of those things are kind of factoring together. And like I mentioned, our season ticket numbers are higher than they've ever been. Our VIP season ticket holders are higher than they've ever been. So if you want a reserved seat and you don't want to have to fight the students for all those GA seats, that's your option. And we're certainly glad to have you. The more we sellouts we can have, I think we can start to build a sellout streak. That would be my goal. Is we go through an entire season selling out the CVC. We're on track to doing that, and I think we have 3 more chances to build on that this week.
The first game I ever covered at South Carolina when I was a freshman early on in my broadcast career was a volleyball game. And I remember going in like wide-eyed, deer in the headlights, just very, very nervous. But it was such a great experience. And because of that, I'll forever hold a special spot in my heart for volleyball at Carolina.
Yeah, it's a fast-paced sport. Obviously I'm biased, but I think just as you don't have to know all the intricacies of the rotations and what the matchups and all of that. I think if you just come and watch, you're going to see some elite athletes, and it's fast. It's exciting. The atmosphere in the CVC is probably better than any place I've ever seen. I had coaches this past weekend telling me how cool it was to get to play there. And I can't imagine it's going to be any less this weekend. So you're going to get a good show if you head on down.
You heard it from Coach Mendoza himself. Head out to the Carolina Volleyball Center this weekend, but not just this weekend, throughout the rest of the season. We're so excited to see what's in store for the women's volleyball team at South Carolina, Coach, and we cannot thank you enough for joining us on GC Exclusives on Gamecock Central today. I know all of our subscribers are going to be super pumped to hear from you.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.